Jacob Zuma has done it again. The man is full of surprises. Today, the MK party announced that Floyd Shivambu is gone from the position of Secretary General of the MK party. They gwazzed the gwazist and he's going to parliament with a gwaz wound. I'm Jamie Mighty, the dissector. I'm filling in for Mpofu-Walsh. He's somewhere out there, I don't know where, overseas doing PhD things, but I'm filling in for him today on SMWX.
Fam, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Pace Car Rental. Use promo code SMWX for 10% off your next car rental and make sure you show Pace some love as they're showing this channel some love. Now, let's get into the episode.
Let's talk about this Jacob Zuma, Floyd Shivambu dismissal, demotion, firing, whatever you want to call it. Floyd Shivambu has been fired from the position of Mpofu-Walsh Secretary General, which is basically the CEO of the organization, the entity responsible for organizing the branches and getting things in shape, getting the party ready for the next election and making sure it has prospects of success in the next election. Oh, so he thought, because he's gone now, he's out of that position. And this is something that has been cooking behind the scenes. He was being asked questions about this a few days ago. Ziyanda Ngcobo asked him, and he responded in a funny, funky way. You know, he basically said, no, the organization can send me anywhere. But this is what he said when he was asked the question.
That you are possibly resigning? Let's clarify that. Are you leaving, or have you been told that any moment from now you could be removed as Secretary General of the Mpofu-Walsh party?
So I'm Secretary General of Mpofu-Walsh now. Yeah. There is no letter which was written by the president, because there have been people, we don't know where they're from now, whether they're from inside the MK or it's external forces that are trying to sow divisions within the organization, who write fake letters.
With your letterhead?
In the name, yes, they've been doing that. But actually,
where do they get that? It sounds like it's coming from inside.
So to show that there's a possibility that it may be external forces. So inside Mpofu-Walsh, everyone else knows that the logo of Mpofu-Walsh has to have a gold circle around it.
Right.
But the fake letters have not been having a letterhead with a gold circle, and it has never been used anywhere else. So all the logos of the letterheads of Mpofu-Walsh have had gold circle, but the ones that are fake letters, almost all of them have had either a black or a white circle around the logo of the organization. And the other thing is that I'll never resign from Mpofu-Walsh.
Never.
Even if I'm not in any of its leadership structures. I did not join Mpofu-Walsh to lead it. I joined Mpofu-Walsh to be a member, to campaign for its ideals and a program and vision, because I think that the manner in which it's conceptualized and how President Zuma get to explain what Mpofu-Walsh is to all of us, it's a far much more noble perspective.
So you can see that fundamentally this has been cooking behind the scenes. And the reason that was stated for the demotion and the move to parliament was the meeting with the notorious pastor shepherd Bushiri, the so-called prophet. I say so-called because, you know, I haven't seen a prophecy of his that's actually come true. So if you know one, please tell us in the comment section. But I saw that man walk on air, and he was being held up on the side, and there was a whole lot of stuff happening there with Pastor Shepherd Bushiri. So I think that's what they're saying the reason was, and also the response to questions about the Bushiri trip did not help Floyd Shivambu. He was responding in a flippant way, making it seem as if, you know, it doesn't matter. He was just going there to worship, etc. We're going to talk about why it was a bad idea. But the trip, he said at some point, was approved by the MK party, and they resoundingly refuted that version in the press conference today. This is what they had to say about sending him to Bushiri. They said, we didn't send you there, chief.
By a national official, it was confirmed that the trip was not officially sanctioned, was not an officially sanctioned program of the organization or the president, which therefore goes against the constitution of the party.
The Bushiri trip trip was a big mistake that was made by Floyd Shivambu. It was an own goal, a catastrophic own goal for a variety of reasons. Let's go through them quickly. Firstly, Floyd Shivambu made a mistake by going to visit Bushiri because Bushiri is a fugitive from the law. What he did was the equivalent of going to visit Thabo Bester in Tanzania if Thabo Bester had succeeded, in absconding to Tanzania with the love of his life, Dr. Nandipa. So if Floyd had gone to visit him and just said, no, Thabo is my friend, I'm just visiting Thabo, that wouldn't have worked. Shepherd Bushiri fled South Africa under some dubious conditions after being allegedly smuggled out of a plane with the Malawian presidents, with Malawian intelligence and embassy officials. The whole story about how him and his wife left was shady. But not only was the way that he left and the manner in which he did it was shady, the allegations that Bushiri is facing in South Africa are relatively significant and serious. And visiting a person facing those types of allegations would really be something that would be politically a mistake in any generation. Let's think about what Floyd Shivambu did by visiting this man. What is this man accused of, right? Pastor Shepherd Bushiri is accused of rape. He faces multiple charges of rape involving several victims, right? Underage girls, allegations that the girls were intimidated or paid off to recant their stories. Number two, he faces allegations of fraud and money laundering. Then he faces allegations of use of fraudulent residency permits, involvement in dubious investment schemes. Why would any credible politician want to associate themselves with anybody implicated in any or all of those particular issues? It was definitely a mistake to be associated with that, because what you're saying to women of South Africa is that you don't care about their gender-based violence issues, you don't care about the trauma that they've suffered at the hands of rapists, of toxic men, in the environment of toxic masculinity. You're a political leader who's supposed to be representing their interests and protecting them, and to associate with somebody who has been accused on multiple instances of being involved in this particular type of behavior was something that was an affront. It was an own goal of massive proportions, and we can't downplay this, right? So the Floyd Shivambu trip to visit Shepherd Bushiri was not a brotherly move in his own interest. It was one of those Cain and Abel brotherly moves where he caned himself even though he was able. So I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but you get it. It was a serious mistake, right? The association and endorsement of such a dubious character is one that created, first and foremost, the impression that you are birds of a feather, that you flock together, that you're buddies. I can't overstress how that was an own goal in a full sense. Really, I mean, we're doing reactions here, and I don't want to belabor the point. Let me move on. You get what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. Barack Obama, when he realized that Jeremiah Wright was causing him problems, made a move. And the move was, I'm going to stay away from Jeremiah Wright. I'm going to make sure that I'm not associated with this man any further. And he distanced himself. He gave a speech, and he used that moment as a teaching moment for America. And it was something that didn't become an albatross on him. I don't know why Floyd Shivambu kept wanting to embrace Shepherd Bushiri. I don't know what relationship they have or what they have on each other, because it doesn't look good. But in any event, I don't think that's the full story. The Shepherd Bushiri story. I don't buy that it's the full story, and I'm going to consider another thing which I think is worth considering as we do unpacking of this particular thing. But I must say, I kind of was wondering when I saw Floyd do the media interviews, and I don't know if you were wondering the same thing. I saw Floyd doing, was it Newsroom Africa? I think it was Newsroom Africa. And he was there, and I saw him then on another platform, and I was like, why is Floyd telling the story about why he rejoined MK again? Why is this something that we're going over again? Right? Because you told us the story. We heard this song. This is an old song. You know, it's like trying to vusa ingomaga December now. You know, the song of the year. And we are in June now, Baba. We what's the name? We're trying to get Isaga and all of that. You trying to vusa Iplan. Iplan is over now. We're on Isaga. And in fact, even Isaga, sorry, it's on the way out. I think Saul Panduga's got some music. There's new stuff on the charts. That's at number one. Jazz Works, I think, has a number one song in Durban. But the point I'm trying to make is Iplan is over now. You can't be using Iplan to resuscitate your music career. That is something that's done. So why am I saying this? All of a sudden, Floyd was on TV talking about how joining the MK was the best decision, EFF this, EFF that. I was like, well, what's going on with this dude? Why is he repeating that? But now it makes sense why he was saying that and why he was going through those motions. Fundamentally, it's because I think he was making a closing argument to Jacob Zuma and to senior leaders of the MK party, saying, I'm still relevant. I can still bring you numbers. I can still make this narrative work for us. But I don't think this time it was successful. He did the media interviews. The press conferences happened. The man is going to the backbenches, possibly of Parliament, because Parliament has a leader. There's a leader there. It's Dr. John Klope. Mandla is John Klope. We've got a new chief whip, Colin, and it's not going to be him in a big position. Most of the committees have already had people appointed to them. Maybe he'll get a senior committee position. I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is an effective demotion. I don't think that they're going to kick him out of the party altogether. That would have negative consequences for them as well, because they spend a lot of time bringing him into the fold and doing all of this PR around the Floyd Shivambu brand. But effectively right now, when he was doing that interview, a lot of things now make sense. So let's talk about the other reason why I think that Floyd is being removed from the MK party. I'm going to give you two reasons. Other reasons outside of the Bushiri thing. You know, the Bushiri thing. You know, sometimes you will get what is known as a pretext, the stated reason. And then there's a, hidden reason or subtext, where you get more context and information. So let me tell you why I think he started being on the down and out in the MK party. Floyd Shivambu picked a fight with Zuma. I don't think that was a good move. I don't think it was a good move for a variety of reasons. I'm going to submit to you that we underestimate Zuma, and we do so at our own peril. She is somebody who was critical in Jacob Zuma's political momentum and energy at critical moments of his career, towards the end of his career. Obviously, she wasn't necessarily a big player in 2006, 2007, but she was definitely a big player in 2021, 2020. And she's somebody who stood by her father in his darkest moments and was able to galvanize, support, help him with momentum, help him with energy. That girl loves her father more than anybody in the world. I don't think that there's anybody who loves Jacob Zuma more than Zuma on earth. I don't think of any of his children, anyone can compete with her for the love of her dad. What I'm trying to put across is two things. Number one, I do think that over the years, she has become somebody who has learned at her father's feet the principles and the fundamentals of organizational politics in the Jacob Zuma way. You may think that to succeed in politics, you need to understand Marxist, Leninist, Fanonian frames of analysis, and you may if you are in a traditional political party where those are the variables. But Jacob Zuma has always operated around politics based on personality and behind-the-scenes strategies and tactics. So if she was learning that, even if she won't cite Marx to you or tell you what chapter 5 of Steve Biko is about, by the way, it's about, having other people besides white liberals speak on behalf of black people on international podcasts. That's what chapter 5 of Steve Biko is about. But even if she doesn't cite chapter 5 of Steve Biko, it's irrelevant if she understands how to navigate political organizations, maintain and sustain support. That is all the politics that she needs to understand in a political party which is built around the entity and aura of her father. Do you understand? So when you come in and you challenge her, you try to undermine her, all of that I think is a mistake. She's learned from her dad. She's been one of his biggest supporters, meaning on the other side, besides underestimating her, she has a big role to play within the organization as support for her dad. But moreover, he deployed her to be the eyes and ears. We don't see Duduzile anywhere within the MK party, because I don't think that he's as strong of a political player. And I could be wrong. I could be underestimating the man. But based on where we stand right now, Ubabaga Duduzile has sent Dudu to pay attention to what's happening in the organization at various critical points. So Dudu is a critical player in a way that Duduzile may not be I don't know them. I'm just speaking from where I've observed. But I think Floyd may have miscalculated by underestimating her, because trying to go toe-to-toe with her, I think, was a mistake. Another thing I'm going to add here. You cannot beat a father's love for his daughter. You can't do that. And you can't embarrass a father's daughter in front of the whole country and expect zero consequences. And even though I think that Dudu Zuma did not bring her issues with Floyd Shivambu in a diplomatic fashion, you remember those midnight tweets and all of that jazz, I think that the way Floyd dealt with it was like, yeah, no, I'm going to show her. Type of an approach. I don't think that necessarily would have ingratiated him with the man, right? The leader of the organization, the father figure. So there are various things there that I'm trying to put across. Look, let me say this. If I worked for Advocate Mpofu, and all of a sudden I'm on the internet coming for, Dr. Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh, I don't think that I would continue to have a nice job there at Chambers for Advocate Mpofu. I don't know. I'm just saying common sense dictates that I would have to move a certain type of way. Even if I had a dispute with Dr. Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh, PhD, Oxford University, check that man's name and respect him. Even if I had beef with him, I would have to move differently if I worked for his father. That's just, what do they call that? Emotional intelligence, right? You can have IQ, but you also need to have EQ to survive in HR. I'm just saying. So I think that even though they said that, and Bushiri gave them a clear way to move him out of the leadership role, I think that the Dudu Zuma issue was also an issue. But I don't think it was just Dudu Zuma, and I don't want to belabor that either, because I think that there are some organizational whispers that we've all become aware of. People say that Floyd was being too controlling, being too assertive, and he wasn't necessarily bringing something to the table in terms of organizational capabilities. He wasn't necessarily in the grassroots door knocking everywhere. People are saying that other entities such as Bongani Baloyi were actually playing a big role. I don't know if this is true. MK people, is that valid? Was Floyd arrogant? Was he dismissive? Can you tell us in the comments your experiences if you were an MK member, branch member, supporter, you go to the rallies, etc., etc. What was your experience of his leadership? Because leadership is not just about the position, the title, your credentials, your Wits degrees, etc., etc. You have to have humility within an organization such as MK. MK is an organization where, amasiko are going to have a bigger role to play, because there's a lot of Zulu guys there, and you need to put some respect on the streets. You can't just come around with any kind of attitude. You can't just, you remember that song? What are the lyrics of that song? Nah, Bobo Lil Wayne. I'm a stingray, something to that effect. What they were trying to say is, don't come with American tendencies to KZN. Don't come with American tendencies trying to be a rapper. Even what did Big Zulu say? He says that, these people, but they go to the loo in the house and he's still going to the loo outside. These hip hop guys, and that's why he's not a bomb rapper. I can't remember all of the lyrics of that. Point I'm trying to make is, humility is critical in politics, and you need to be able to display humility and have a certain type of approach when you're dealing with people. You can't be coming across dismissive, arrogant, you better recognize who I am, etc., etc. When you're on the ground, you have to shake hands, you have to listen to people, you have to humble yourself, you have to be a game player. If people are getting energy from you that it's like you're the best thing since sliced bread, you are the one who wrote, Julius Malema's speech, you are the one who gave him the name Julius, you are the one who chose the colors for the EFF, you are the one who counted the cardinal pillars and said 7 and no more, you are the one who wrote the songs for Lozi, you're the one who stitched the fabrics for the beret. If you're trying to come across as that, people who want respect first are not going to entertain that. That kind of attitude won't fly in a lot of places. And it definitely won't fly, within a community where respect and imbego are part of the value system, whether you like it or not, right? I'm not saying it's a tribalistic entity. I'm saying when you have people who are coming from a particular tribe, in the party as well, and they have lots of rules around greeting, humility, amasiko, respect, all of that, and you're not coming through with the right kind of energy, they're going to check you, and you may actually lose that position. So I think that was a factor as well. There were also some unconfirmed rumors that, he wrote a speech for Dr. John Hlophe, which was not well received, Dr. Mandla Hlophe, which was not well received. I don't know who wrote the speech, but that speech apparently caused friction between Mzwane Lemanyi and Dr. John Hlophe, and it looks as if everybody who was on the wrong side of that speech now is kind of on the bench. But now I want to look at another factor. So why could this be a good thing for Floyd Shivambu? Number one, I think that Floyd came in too hot in the MK party. He came in with a lot of baggage, and he actually needs to start somewhere where he can prove himself, take time to actually build the relationships that he needs to build. Parliament is somewhere where he has a lot of experience, he knows the procedures, he knows how to make an impression, and he also knows how to, do a lot of parliamentary protocols. He's sat in serious committees. He has lots of experience in that particular role. So I don't know if he will have a lot of opportunities. I'm thinking right now, Mkitama also is somebody who's had a lot of parliamentary experience, but hasn't had real good moments up until thus far. Colin Makubele had a good moment within the Higher Education Committee, but I also think that's because there was a lot of attention, not the Higher Education Committee, sorry, the Communications Committee. She had a good moment there. I think people responded well to her engagements. We've seen also Nhlamulo have a few good moments around the Starlink issue. So he may be able to get good moments, but just because I haven't seen Klitama having so many moments, that may not count in his favor. But I do think that he has to prove himself. This is really going to be a test of his character. Why do I say this? Sometimes you get put on the bench, and being placed on the bench becomes a test of how you respond to being placed on the bench. You either tell the people, I understand, and then you show commitment, you put in the work, you put in the time, you rebuild the relationships, you rebuild the trust, or you lash out and have a bad attitude. I'm reminded of Naledi Chira at different times. She's been put on the bench by the EFF. At one point, she was the spokesperson, and then she was removed from that spokesperson position, and then she went back to Parliament and had a prolific period. Then there was a time when it seemed as if she wasn't frontline anymore. She was out of Parliament. She was put in Gauteng legislature and stuff like that. And then she went back to Parliament. Every time I observed how she responded to those moments, she responded with a positive attitude. She responded with, I get it. I'm listening. I'm going to do better. I'm going to fix this particular thing. And every time the party has said, you know what, actually, you're fine. You're good. You're able to carry the weight and to perform the role. So Floyd is facing a critical test right now of character. It's like what happens with athletes sometimes. The coach will take you off. The coach will put you on the bench. And if you respond poorly to that, then there goes your jersey. The other people are going to start playing in that position more than you. So this is going to be a test for him. Is he going to humble himself? Not to say that he's not a humble man. I'm just saying because of the innuendos around him being brash and arrogant, etc. He'll have to then think about how does he respond to this moment. It's a test of character for him. He has a relatively long political road ahead of him. And if he has aspirations to be a future president of South Africa, how he responds to this moment will be a test of his character, a test of his creativity and responsiveness. There's nothing wrong with sitting on the bench, but sometimes you have to listen when you're sitting on the bench, see what people are saying, and then think about, do I have the answers to this particular moment, to this particular situation? So on the other side of the equation, it's just worth pointing out that Jacob Zuma is a complex political strategist and chess player. You never know whether it's Petrov defense, Queen's Gambit, King's Gambit. You won't know whether it's one version of a chess opening or another. He plays a very complicated game of political chess. He's been playing political chess for a very long time. People often underestimate him, or they think that they have it all figured out. I've spoken for I don't know how many minutes on this particular issue. I don't claim to know. I've given some theories. I don't know what your theories are. It's just a reaction. Till we get more information, we won't know 100%. And we'll have to look into it and see if we can get better answers. And I'm curious to see what Sizwe will say about this as well when he does his interpretation of the moment. But as things stand, you may never know with Jacob Zuma. Jabulani Khumalo thought he knew. He thought he had Jacob Zuma figured out. Went and told people, no, Zuma ngiyamazi mina. Don't worry, buy me this car. Let's do this. Chigi, the man is nowhere. Where's Jabulani? Where you at, man? Come to SMWX. I think Susan will want to do a sit down with you and just debrief after 1 year in the political wilderness. Where's MKJ? MKJ, Jabulani Khumalo. MKJK, right? MKJK. Yeah, that could be your faction there that you can start. But what I'm trying to make is that Jacob Zuma does a lot of interesting things, different political strategies. Difficult to know with the guy. I never anticipated that there would even be an MK, and it's here today. And I was following. I remember I was watching that press conference, and I was like, this press conference doesn't look like this thing is going to go anywhere. I was so wrong because I underestimated Jacob Zuma and where he was going and where the MK party was going to be. So even as I'm giving this commentary right now, and it's more commentary, not political science, it's just a reaction, is to really say, you don't know with Jacob Zuma. You never know. So I wonder what you guys think about this moment. Was it Bushiri? Was it Dudu? Was it attitude? Was it something else? Or do you think that they're just putting him on the bench for now, bring him back later, and then create a new cycle around him? MK has actually been doing very well in the local government elections. They've been winning in KZN and in the by-elections. And that could be something that shows that, no, these guys still have lots of momentum, lots of room to grow and do well. That's all the time we have for today. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. As we say when we end on SMWX, yeah.